This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You're tuned in to Global News Network, and we're going to discuss politics today in the Philippines. And of course, this is your Talknews TV running for the past 9 years. And yours truly, Herman Tiu Laurel Kamentong, will be discussing with Attorney Larry Gadon, Lorenzo Larry G. Gadon, the convener of the DU30, PDU30, Constitutional Reformers. And we'll try to explain, we'll ask for clarification what the constitutional reformer means and why it's necessary at this time with President Duterte. So let me introduce to you Attorney Gadon, whom I heard in at the Annabelle's Forum, call for the Palit Bise. And his group is one of the initiators of the Palit Bise rally at the Luneta that had a huge crowd just a few days ago, maybe yes, a week ago, no?
April 2.
So, Attorney Gadon, say hello to our audience
is it
good day, good night,
day.
because it's replayed in nighttime,
yes.
daytime.
Good day and welcome to the TV talk show of Kamentong here.
Yes.
And I'm glad that I was invited.
Let's get a bit of background of your movement, the PDU30 Constitutional Reformers. I suppose you have to have a campaign like that because you will have to, one part of the vision of the Duterte movement is the reform of the Constitution, introduction of federalism,
yes.
And parliamentarism. Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, this group, the PDU30 Constitutional Reform Group, of which I am a co-convener, and Attorney Raul Lambino is our lead convener. We support the advocacy of President Duterte to revise the Constitution that will pave the way for federalism. Okay. And this group, our group, has been going around the country to deliver lectures, explain to the people the advocacy of President Duterte and the principles revolving the federalism. And we have gone to Baguio, La Union, in the Visayas, Cebu, Cagayan de Oro, Davao, and even in schools here in Metro Manila. And what's encouraging here is that a lot of organizations are inviting us to help explain this idea about federalism. And our group just go there and deliver the lectures. And the people are very interested in listening to the explanations.
Yeah. It's very timely that we explain these reforms in the Constitution with our people. But at the same time, what is the status now of the legal moves or action? One question, for example, is there going to be a constitutional convention, or is it going to be a constituent assembly? And what I've been reading is this is going to happen in about a year or two from now. This is now 2017. I've read that maybe it'll happen in 2 more years' time.
Yes.
Why not earlier? And then, of course, there were reports that in the Senate it will not pass. What is your numbers on the Senate about this new
Well,
law to call a constituent assembly or a constitutional convention?
Well, as far as our group is concerned, we are not really into the what's going on with Malacanang, no? Because our advocacy is to explain to the people the principles of
okay.
federalism. And as far as I know, there is an executive order that was signed already by President Duterte to constitute or appoint the members of Constitutional Commission that will make a study or a draft that will be submitted to Congress for the Congress as performing its role as a constitutional assembly will consider this draft and probably make some revisions or amendments. What is more important is that there is already a draft that will be presented to them as a working document. This Constitutional Commission will be consisted of retired justices, legal luminaries like the deans of law schools, retired justices, and top academicians who will make this draft that will be submitted to Congress.
Okay. So it's that approach will be the Constituent Assembly approach. Is that
Yes,
correct?
President Duterte has already announced that
He prefers a
constitutional assembly because it's cheaper.
Yeah. Of course, there's no more election and so
yes,
on.
no more elections. And anyway, the midterm elections is in 2019. So
isasabay sa 2019. That's the
probably
that's the
idea.
projection. That's
Yeah,
a projection.
that's a projection. The submission of the referendum will be timed during the midterm elections.
Okay. So between now and 2019,
that's
so
the
there's
target.
2017, 2018, 2019. That's a lot of time to explain to the people.
Yes. And we're doing it now, actually. And we have already gone around a lot of places in the country to explain this. And
Do you have
yung mga forum na yan are sponsored by the local officials, no? The governors, like the one we conducted in La Union. It was sponsored by Governor Pacoy Ortega, who also supports the federalism advocacy of President Duterte. Also in Clark, we have conducted it twice in Clark, supported by Mayor Booking
So you work
Morales.
with DILG also on this campaign to explain.
Some people at the DILG are also into this.
Isn't it Assistant Secretary Densing
Yes.
in charge of the Federalism Education Campaign of the
Yes,
DILG,
also.
no?
But in we are a private group. In fact, but we are the first to do it.
Okay.
In fact, we are several months ahead of this group.
Because I had a discussion with some of the people in DILG, Vince Cifra and then Ener Sampang. I don't know if you...
Well, I heard of their names.
Okay.
But in our group, our lead convener is Attorney Raul Lambino,
yes.
who is the Deputy Secretary General of the PDP.
PDP. So this is under the auspices of the PDP.
Now it's under the
PDP
auspices.
or PDP Laban, or it's just
The
one?
PDP.
That's PDP. That's
Yes.
more purist than
Yes.
PDP Laban. Ano? Okay.
I think they have already removed the word laban.
Wala nang laban. That's new to me. Okay. Now, in the meantime, how does the Palit Bise figure in this campaign for federalism? It's totally separate.
Well, it has nothing to do
Nothing
with
to do with
federalism.
it,
It's
yeah.
just that this was triggered by the actuations of Leni Robredo when she sent a video in the United Nations
I think
denouncing the...
we have the, just to show our audience the event, there's this item there. Robredo brings fight against Duterte to the United Nations. No? And this is this was followed by news reports and commentaries in the West lambasting the Duterte government based on what they heard from Vice President Robredo. Do we have that? New York Times slams Duterte, hit Philippines where it hurts most. So, is this the basis for your campaign against Robredo, Lenny Robredo?
Yes, because these are all lies. The PNP has already clarified that the 7,000 or so killings that was being referred by Robredo pertains to the whole crime rate. Not all of these are drug-related cases.
And the real
drug-related cases only number around 2,000.
2,000.
Yes.
So this was a misrepresentation?
Yes, misrepresentation. And we believe that the Vice President has betrayed the public trust. Because as the number 2 or the second highest official of the land, she should protect the interest of the country. But this time, she is targeting Duterte. But in fact, in reality, what she is targeting is the whole Filipino people.
Well, there's reports
that's treason, and that's betrayal of public trust.
There are claims that have come out that this has affected the country's maybe tourism arrivals or trade and so on. Or at least it's very clear there are threats to trade against the Philippines from the EU, for European Union, for example.
Well, but as far as I know, the threat is still empty as of this time, because the latest reports show that there is an increase of 40% compared to the last year.
Total trade.
Total trade. There is an increase of investments, 40% during the time of the President Duterte, compared to the 2016 year-to-year comparison.
Yeah. And the one I read is that it was the European Union making some noise and some threats, but it's not one of our major trading partners.
Yes,
anyway.
they're not one of our major trading partners. In fact, if we can get the market of China, we can totally snub the whole of European Union.
Yeah. Well, so what are the steps to be taken in this Palit Bise? Of course, there was talk of impeachment.
Yes.
The action that I recall from the papers is that it was Attorney Lozano, one of those who filed. Anybody else that has filed?
Yes. My group is going to file.
Not yet, but you're
not
going
yet,
to file.
Because the Congress is not in session.
Okay.
They're in recess. But once Congress resumes, we're going to file an impeachment
Are you
case
preparing
against
it,
Lenny.
Attorney Lambino, or you're working together?
Some group are working for it, but I'm part of that group.
Okay. And what will be the grounds if it's...
Well, that's betrayal of public trust. That's violation of her oath to protect the interest of the country. And saan ka ba naman nakakita ng second highest official of the land? Sisiraan mo yung bansa mo. That's a very pagtatraidor.
That's one of the reforms maybe in the Constitution that is required. Maybe when you shift to parliamentary, it will not become a problem. Because I think in our Philippine political system, the President and the Vice President are always adversarial.
Yes.
The Vice President is always ambitioning to take over
the Vice President
before the next election pa. That's the worst part. Ano?
Yes, our experience is always like that. The Vice President always go to churches and pray for the death of the president.
And even
but in our suggestions or proposals in the revision of the Constitution, we will suggest, or we will propose that the Vice President and the Vice President must be elected
as one.
As one.
That's the American system.
Yes, the American system.
In fact, the American system, there is no a vote for the Vice President.
Yes, it's always
you just vote for the President, and he is the one that chooses his Vice President.
Yes, during the primaries.
During the primaries. So there is no conflict of interest between the two.
Yes.
And the Vice President just keeps quiet while the President serves out his term, unless something happens, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt dies and Truman takes over, I think, if I recall my history correctly.
But in the U.S. system, the Vice President takes an active role in governance.
Hindi lang symbolic?
Hindi lang symbolic. Dito naman sa atin.
Si Vice President Gore, was presiding over ano ba, Senate or something?
Well, I cannot recall, no?
I
But
cannot,
he was very active. In our case, in the case of Leni Robredo, she was given a chance to serve the country.
Yeah, she
by
was given a cabinet post.
Yes, she was given a cabinet post as the housing and the
That's
HLURB
right. And habang nandoon
housing
siya,
secretary.
bumabati ko siya sa
Bumabati ko siya habang
presidente.
nandun siya. And not only that, I heard that the meetings, the agenda and the topic being taken in the meetings, in the cabinet meetings, reaches the other side.
No. So the secrets are leaked.
Yes.
At the same time, of course, very sensitive ito when he was allegedly, I don't know if you can confirm it, meeting with Loida Nicolas in the
Yes,
States and others, and that's parang destabilizing the government.
And not only that, I had an experience how neglectful she is in her office when she was still a cabinet secretary holding the housing portfolio. I sent a complaint to HLURB regarding one of the cases of my clients, and I sent it to Malacanang. So, Attorney Salvador Panelo, the Presidential Legal Counsel, immediately endorsed my complaint to the office of Leni Robredo.
Yes.
And it was not acted. So, talagang totally wala.
How long was the
It was,
inaction?
the letter was there for more than 1 month. And nothing happened. So I followed it up with Attorney Panelo. And then he again endorsed it to another person in HLURB.
Okay. But President Duterte seems to have tried to extend the hand of reconciliation by inviting Leni Robredo and her family to dinner and so on. Did this transpire?
I don't think so. Hindi yata natuloy.
Hindi natuloy.
Alam mo naman si Presidente Duterte, he's tough and his mouth is really loud. But in reality, he's a gentleman.
Okay. So far, I was trying to see if natuloy
the fact that Leni Robredo was offered the cabinet post, he should have taken that opportunity to serve the people if she's really sincere in her advocacy to help the country. But no, nothing happened.
Yeah. Well, Leni has been invited to dinner. It doesn't seem to have transpired. Where is this going to go? Parang ano ba to? Parang Mexican standoff. Until maybe you file your impeachment, no?
Yes.
Something will start happening.
Yes. It will become more defined when the Congress resumes, because a lot of people are really bent on filing the impeachment charges against her. And in fact, even House Speaker Bebot Alvarez has already declared that he himself will file the impeachment charges against Leni Robredo.
Okay.
That despite the calls of President Duterte not to proceed.
I was going to into that. President Duterte has said again and again he doesn't
want
support
he
this initiative to remove the sitting vice president now.
Oh, but this is a legislative act.
And it's supposed to be independent.
It's supposed to be independent. And not only that, when we are thinking of filing an impeachment charge against Leni Robredo, we are not thinking of getting revenge, or we are avenging or we are defending Digong, no? It's not about Digong, but it's about the country. Leni Robredo is destroying the country. It's not about Digong. So, in this particular issue, we will not be beholden to President Duterte. We will not listen to him to stop the impeachment charges.
Okay. Well, we were supposed to have also Mr. Ronald Cardema with us, the leader of the Duterte Youth Movement, but he couldn't make it. well, we prepared to have a few minutes of discussion on the Duterte Youth Movement. Apparently there are two. One is led by Cardema, the other is the Youth for Federalism.
Yes.
Are you familiar with these movements?
Cardema, Ronald Cardema, also supports the federalism movement.
okay.
In fact, in several instances that we have attended several media fora, we have discussed also the advocacy on federalism.
But Cardema's Duterte Youth Movement seems to be more militant, the more militant of the two. While
Yes.
the Youth for Federalism is more focused on the issue of federalism, and I do not see them confrontational with the yellows or with...
Yes.
Let's look at the classic picture of Cardema versus Jim Paredes, and then maybe we can expand further from there.
Yeah.
Because that's, I think, a historic scenario. Are you ready with that? Just to remind, is that Cardema?
Yes,
With the hat?
Cardema is with the hand.
Okay.
With the digong
That's
fist.
that's right, yeah. So anyway,
Fist of change.
it seems that the Yellow Movement has had its time and it's all over for them.
Yes, yeah. Actually, laos na sila. Nobody listens to them anymore. Nakakahiya na nga. Para sa akin, kung if they're still espousing this yellow belief, mahiya na sila. Because nobody takes them seriously anymore.
Si Vice President Lenny nagsusuot ng yellow?
I don't...
Pero she's supported by the Yellow
yes,
Movement.
yes, she's being supported by the yellow movement. But as you can see, even the February Revolution anniversary celebration, napaka-konti na lang nila doon.
Doon sa
And,
sila, no, sa People Power Monument.
People Power Monument,
Doon
napaka-konti nila.
Corinthian ba? Sa may Corinthian
Sa may
yun, no?
Corinthian.
EDSA.
Oo.
Okay.
And in fact, even in previous years, the numbers are dwindling.
That's right. And it's been 30 years.
And it's been 30 years.
And they keep blaming Duterte for many things. But the fact is, if in the 30 years they produced
They
what
produced
the
nothing.
promised results of a better life for Filipinos, the fruits of democracy, so-called, the fact is people didn't see it. That's why they turned to a new direction.
Actually, that is always my statement in several TV and radio talk shows that I was invited to. I always say that EDSA 1 and the Aquinos ruined the country, particularly the administration of Cory Aquino. And of course, the worst is Noynoy Aquino, the worst president we ever had.
Yeah. Okay. So, Attorney, what are the other activities that are planned? Aside from the filing of the impeachment, are there other mass actions? The last one was your rally at Luneta. The others are disputing the size of the crowd and saying
Well, the photos will show.
yeah.
There are more than 50,000 in just 1 week notice.
And that lasted until what time?
Until past midnight.
Past midnight. Yeah.
Yes, and in comparison, they have been preparing for this EDSA People Power Anniversary celebration for many months, and then what turned out was less than 500.
Okay. So, does the movement you lead with Attorney Lambino, does it have any comment on the current political situation, like the peace talks between the government and the NDF and CPP?
Wala naman kasi
So you don't...
we are very focused only on explaining the advocacy on federalism.
Okay.
And in fact, what we're telling the people is that it doesn't even if the new constitution is in place, or even if the constitution is revised, it doesn't mean that the federalism will immediately be implemented. It will take time. There will be a transition period.
Okay. Since we've dealt with the other issues already, let us focus on some of the questions they raise, and which I'm sure you explain in your seminars about federalism. Number one, one of the allegations is that it will cause more layers of government because there will be a regional or provincial. I really don't know the details. What is your answer to that when you explain it?
Well, actually, it will really create several units of government, as if we are creating new countries within the Republic of the Philippines. But this is a better situation because this will result to a better situation because each of the regions will govern themselves, will make decisions for themselves. The responses to the needs of the people will be more immediate and more tailor-made. The decisions will be tailor-made for the regions.
Okay. And the others complain about the additional cost because of that. But I hear that this will be compensated by, as you say, better responses to the needs of the people.
Yes.
What about productivity and production,
Well,
economic development? Is it
Well,
going to
sa
be better
economic
for that?
development naman, I want to explain this in Tagalog,
Yeah, sige.
and para maintindihan. Ang regions kasi, they will have their own decisions on what to do with their economic development. Like for example, Region 1, no? If they are rich in natural resources, they sabi, kung marami silang natural resources na pwede nilang magamit, then they can decide to put up the kind of industries that will propel the progress, that will create jobs and generate income for the province. And
So kung anong
kung ano yung meron sila,
may
pwede nilang
competitive
i-enhance.
advantage sila.
Oo, meron silang competitive advantage. And they can decide to put up their own power sector. They can decide to put up their own communications system so that they won't have to rely on the bad service of the present system.
Pwedeng pumili ang mga probinsya o regions tulad ng India, meron kang communist state, Kerala,
Oo.
meron kang mas feudal na state.
Oo.
So kanya-kanyang pasiya.
Oo. And ang pinaka-importante dito, Kamentong, is yung the quick responses to the people. Like, for example, yung Yolanda. Imagine billions of pesos and dollars and what have you have been poured into donations for Yolanda. But the local government there cannot do anything because they don't hold the money.
Wala silang control.
Wala silang control. And you remember that famous exchanges between Mar Rojas and one of the Romualdez.
That's right.
Na sabi niya Romualdez ka
No.
Aquino yung nakaupo So siyempre, hihintay ka anong tulong. Imagine that the people are dying. The people are dying of sickness and hunger. And still, you have to wait for political patronage to come in.
So ito ay bunga ng distrust na ng central and over-centralized government.
Yeah, tama kami ito. And if you will study this, among the poorest countries in the world, ito yung mga unitary system, presidential system. Whereas the most
Federalized,
industrialized and the most successful, the richest countries, are the federalism, parliamentary system forms of government.
Interesting. Well,
if you can check the Google.
yeah.
Yung countries like yung Argentina, Bolivia, Mexico, Brazil, all of these are under the unitary system, unitary presidential system. And countries like Canada, di ba? Germany, Australia, USA, other federalism form of government.
It's a good point to think about.
Oo.
So, it's like nag-seminar na rin ang audience natin sa iyo. No?
Well, actually, kung napakaganda ng aming mga lectures dito sa federalism movement na ito, and if any of the listeners here, kung meron kayong mga grupo dyan, even if you are only 50 or 100, we can go to you and conduct the lectures. No?
Okay.
You can just get in touch with me, or you can check our website, yung PDU30 Core, and they can communicate with us.
So, good. More than just Palit Bise, is many other issues that you're helping promote. So, maraming salamat, Attorney Gadon.
And I'd like to clarify also that the Palit Bise is not...
Sige.
this is nothing personal against
of course,
Lenny herself, but on the acts that we consider as
This is
treason.
for the national interest.
Yes, that's for the national
Okay.
interest.
Yan po
Thank
si
you very
Attorney
much.
Gadon and the PDU 30 Constitutional Reformers Group. Maraming salamat po, and we hope you enriched your knowledge of these initiatives from people like Attorney Gadon. Have a good